from the Coin Center in downtown Portland, this is KOIN 6 News. Watching out for you.
Largely peaceful demonstrations by thousands in downtown Portland are interrupted by a small number of protesters arrested on a variety of charges. Welcome everyone to KOIN 6 News at 11 o'clock. I'm Chris Holmstrom.
And I'm Anna Canzano. Officers arrested a total of 14 people and removed contraband from disruptors, including a makeshift guillotine. And
Jennifer Dowling covered the rallies and counter protests. Jennifer, there was a lot of buildup to today's events.
That's right, Chris and Anna. Remember, the mayor wanted to pull the permit for this rally, but that never happened. And although things got heated today, there didn't appear to be any serious injuries during this rally. It's a relief following the stabbing that has the city on edge. Police launched flashbangs into Chapman Square. And yellow and white gas spilled into the air to disperse a crowd of hundreds. There to protest against the pro-Trump free speech rally across the street at Terry Shrunk Plaza. The rally organized by Joey Gibson.
I want people to feel passionate. I want people to feel like it is okay to come down into Portland and say what you believe in without worry of those kids committing violence against us.
This is a shield. It's the cross of the Knights of Malta. It's almost my family crest.
Jeffrey Hughes carried a large pro-Trump flag.
I'm here representing the Cascade Legion, the alt-right, Cascadia, and Kekistan.
He came to share ideas and network, giving us his thoughts on the train stabbing and suspect Jeremy Christian, who is also identified with the free speech movement.
I guess he was acting in self-defense according to his belief of the situation. But otherwise, I don't think it's ever right that we should harass people in any setting ever.
Counter-protesters also had the Max train stabbing on their minds.
Our hearts are so heavy. I was stunned for days, and then I cried. People have died in the streets because of this so-called free speech, and it's unacceptable.
Police managed to keep the two groups apart by forming a barrier around the plaza. 14 people were arrested. One of them was this man. And our photographer was also shoved down.
Get kicked out! Move!
By a Department of Homeland Security officer. Police also photographed a pile of bricks that might have been tossed at them and located confiscated items into a truck, including a shield, a number of sticks, chains, and even what looked like a guillotine. Despite tense moments, there were no major incidents.
I think Portlanders deserve to feel safe in their city.
Bottom line, at the end of the day, police say they were able to keep people separated to allow the events to continue with minimal physical damage. They will be monitoring social media to keep an eye out for others who might have committed a crime. Back to you.
Such an eventful day. Jennifer, thank you. Portland police were very active on Twitter this afternoon. They shared photos of weapons that were confiscated from demonstrators. The items included knives, brass knuckles, and flares. Also, a slingshot removed from counter-protesters near Portland City Hall. Police say they were firing marbles at Trump supporters in Terry Shrunk Plaza. Officers also collected wrenches, crowbars, and chains, and safety scissors.
Our Andrew Dimbert was live on Facebook throughout the demonstrations. He brings us some moments that he caught on camera.
You must disperse the area. If you do not leave, you will be subject to arrest.
Get to the rail! Move it! Get to the rail! You don't know. You committed atrocities. Go ahead. Damn. That's really good, man.
Stop trying to film us. Last warning.
It seems to me that there are a lot of these people out over here, and maybe even you, that actually said, if if I believe I heard right, and I believe I did, they actually said that if Donald Trump got elected as president, they'd get the heck out of America.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
That was Andrew Dymburt reporting there. Some of our best coverage does come from you. If you have any pictures or video that you'd like to share with us, you can send those straight into our newsroom. Just email them to reportit@KOIN.com or click on the Report It tab on your KOIN 6 News app. Context is so vital in understanding today's events. Emotions are heightened in the city after the brutal stabbings on a MAX train a week and a half ago. Those stabbings left 2 men dead and 1 seriously wounded. All 3 had come to the defense of a girl wearing a Muslim headscarf and her friend as they became targets in a hate-filled attack.
And tonight, the families of the heroes met. Arlene Park attended the memorial service where she spoke to them and the man who survived that same tragic attack.
They were strangers a little more than a week ago.
That's worth it. Your life is worth it.
But now Micah Fletcher, the lone survivor of the MAX stabbings, will forever be connected to the families of the 2 other heroes.
I definitely think perhaps there's a purpose for me out there now. I didn't used to. I thought things were much more random, but perhaps not.
Court documents reveal that Fletcher's wounds were only millimeters away from being fatal. Now he says he's recovering quickly.
I'm healing at a lot faster rate than me or any of my doctors expected, and I am expected to make a full recovery as of this point in time.
At an interfaith memorial service held at the Muslim Educational Trust building, the 3 heroes were honored. The mother of Talisha Namkai Meche says she could not be more proud of her son.
What do you miss most about him right now?
To be honest with you, I'm not really missing him because I feel his presence so strongly.
Asha Deliverance believes he died for a reason.
Talisha's last words were, "Tell everyone on this train that I love them." And I believe that the reason that he felt that, and that was his last words, is because he realized he was going to die. And in that moment, he understood why he was here.
And Namkai Meche's grandmother had this to say to the man police believe was responsible for the stabbings.
Anybody who acts out in that way can't have come in just a spontaneous way from this event. He has to be a tortured person. He has to be a wounded person. And that's why it's important to carry love in your heart.
In Tigard, Eileen Park, KOIN 6 News.
The funeral for Rick Best is scheduled for tomorrow morning at 10. It will be held at the Christ the King Catholic Church in Milwaukee. If you'd like to pay your respects, his family is asking that people line the procession route to Willamette National Cemetery, where he will be buried. The route from Christ the King goes from Southeast Fuller Road to Monterey, across 82nd Avenue and past the Clackamas Town Center. It will cross I-205 to Southeast Bob Shoemaker Road, then travel onto Idleman Road toward Mount Scott Boulevard, and then onto the cemetery. That procession is set to begin at 1:15 in the afternoon. We have posted that map on KOIN.com.
The man accused of stealing the wedding ring off of Ricky Best's body will be in court tomorrow. George Chagany was arrested Friday morning. Ricky Best's family only realized the ring, a backpack, and his wallet were missing when they were making funeral arrangements. The family says Best's wallet still has not been located. Among other crimes, Chagany is charged with abuse of a corpse. And be sure to stick with KOIN 6 News on air and online. We'll be at Best's funeral services as well as in the courtroom when Jeremy Christian is set to appear.
ISIS is claiming responsibility for last night's terror attack in London. Police say 3 men used a van and knives to kill 7 people in the British capital. 48 others were injured, including 1 American. British police have launched raids and hauled in at least a dozen suspects. The terrorists targeted locals and tourists enjoying a Saturday night out in central London.
3 guys, yeah, they just was stabbing this woman constantly, non-stop, 3 of them, just stabbing her from every direction. I heard them say one thing, "This is for Allah."
Police say they fired about 50 rounds to kill the attackers, who were wearing fake suicide vests. It is the 3rd terror attack in less than 3 months, and 36 people are still in the hospital, including 1 police officer. 21 of the victims are in critical condition. A Frenchman and a Canadian are among the 7 dead.
It was a message of defiance today at One Love Manchester. Basically, you can't let the terrorists win. The benefit concert hosted by Ariana Grande will help victims of a suicide bombing at her performance last month. Jonathan Vigliotti reports from England.
American pop singer Ariana Grande took to the stage at Manchester's Old Trafford Cricket Ground for the One Love Manchester benefit concert. Money raised goes to help the families and surviving victims of the suicide bombing at her concert only 13 days ago. Some 50,000 people packed the stands, including 14,000 who were involved in the Manchester Arena attack. American Katy Perry joined more than a dozen other artists. British rock band Coldplay. Canadian pop star Justin Bieber, and more. Inside and out, there's an increased police presence here to prevent a repeat of the Manchester Arena attack. They're also on heightened alert following Saturday's terror strike in London. Officers, both seen and unseen, surrounded the venue using metal detectors to screen concert goers.
When I see all the police and all stuff here, it reassures me that everything's going to be okay. We're still all together, we're not scared.
The suicide bombing at the Manchester Arena killed 22 people, including 7 children, and injured dozens more. 22-year-old Salman Abedi died when he detonated the bomb just as the concert came to an end. Police are still trying to uncover details about a suspected network that supported him. As the investigation continues, these concert goers say they will stand defiant to fear. Jonathan Vigliotti, CBS News, Manchester, England.
And still to come, why the man convicted for posting revenge porn is now a fugitive.
Plus, ending lunch shaming. What's being done to avoid tears in the cafeteria for kids who can't afford their hot lunch? Stay with us.